In Hollywood, there's a restaurant called Musso and Frank's. It's a famous old restaurant. It's gorgeous inside. It's dark wood and it's old world. And I'm talking about old time Hollywood. You know, Cary Grant used to eat there, Humphrey Bogart, and all these guys. And Charles Bukowski, famous American poet, ate and drank there. And it's not very far from where I grew up. Not that big a deal. It's not that expensive. But for some reason, I've only been there once. And I really loved it. It's a great place. It's a beautiful and historic and everything. I like everything about it. But I only went there once. Speaking of one-time deals, I also only went to the Beverly Center one time. The Beverly Center is a mall in Beverly Hills. But of course, because it's in Beverly Hills, it's a mall with a lot of fancy stores, you know. And back in the day, the Beverly Center one, I went there the one time when I was a teenager. I went there to meet somebody. It doesn't matter. I was there real early, so none of the stores were open. But early in the morning, malls would open up and folks could walk around and do walking exercises. There were walking shoes being sold. Instead of running shoes, you had walking shoes back in the day. I remember a lot of older folks used to do it, and they'd opened up the malls. It was a whole deal back then. Maybe they still do it now. I don't even know. But at the Beverly Center, this one time I went in my teen years to meet a friend. Got there real early. I come up off the escalator, and as teenagers do, I'm wandering around, looking around, trying to figure out where I'm at, and I walked backwards, and I bumped into somebody. Turned around, and the somebody I bumped into was Jack Lemmon. Jack Lemmon, really famous actor. If you don't know who he is, he's in my favorite movie. Two of my favorites. He's in Some Like It Hot, which is like a really famous film. A lot of people know about it. But I think a less famous movie, but it's epic. It's huge. It's like a 3-hour comedy. It's called The Great Race. The Great Race with Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, Natalie Wood. Fantastic movie, a slapstick epic comedy about a car race from New York to Paris. And it's everything about it is over the top and amazing, including Jack Lemmon's performance. It brought so much joy to me growing up. He really made me happy. This was because when I was a kid, there was no cable TV, there was no VHS, there was no DVDs. You had to wait, if you liked a movie, you had to wait every year for it to come around in the movie cycle, and they showed The Great Race, I believe, in the summertime. You could always count on it coming around, certain movies. Channel 5 always showed it. So I would stake out the time in my, in the TV guide and make sure my family knew we're watching The Great Race, whether anyone likes it or not. That was one of the ones I fought for because Jack Lemmon is so great in that movie. And I bumped into him at the Beverly Center. When I went to Musso and Frank's, I went there to meet a friend for lunch, and I knew where it was. I'd driven by it a million times. I walked past it a million times. But this day, I was in my car and I got great parking right on the street at the time. Did whatever I was doing. I was carrying stuff, and I was there to meet a guy to talk about a project or something. And looking through my stuff in my hands as I got closer to the restaurant, all involved in myself. And who do I bump into? But Jack Lemmon. The first time I bumped into him when I was a kid at the Beverly Center, I literally bumped into him at the escalator. He gave me one of those things because we're right by the mouth of the escalator, so we kind of danced around. And I looked at him, a big smile on my face, and I literally went, "Hey, it's Jack Lemmon," but I didn't say anything. He looked at me and had a big smile on his face and nodded, and he walked off. And as he walked away, I looked at him, and from behind, he's going like this. He was waving like a champion, And at Musso and Frank's, when I bumped into him, he was coming out of the restaurant as I'm heading in. I bumped into him, and I literally went, "Hey," didn't even talk to him. Give him one of those, and he writes right back to me, 2 of them, and he walks away from me, and again I look back at him walking away, and this time he's walking with a big jaunty strut. He was fit, and he looked just like himself in the movies, and he was handsome, and he was a huge, great big movie star. And I bumped into him twice.